Hi.
You can introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Rafa Jafar. A lot of people call me RJ as my initial. I'm 17 years old and I'm the founder of E-WasteRJ community.
Electronic devices that haven't been used, such as television, PC, laptop, radio, light, fan, even the smartphone we use often are type of electronic tool which aren't used will be harmful materials for the environment. These are called electronic waste or e-waste. When e-waste gets buried at a landfill, it can dissolve in microscopic traces. Eventually, these traces of toxic materials pool into the ground below the landfill. The more e-waste and metals at the landfill, the more of these trace toxic materials show up in the groundwater. In Indonesia, e-waste isn't managed properly. E-waste needs special handling because it cannot decrease naturally. Starting from research at his elementary school, Rafa Jafar made the research on electronic waste and focused on electronic equipment that haven't been used. Together with it, Rafa Jafar, known as RJ, established an E-WasteRJ community that is dedicated to reduce electronic waste by managing it properly.
Yes, it's called E-WasteRJ. It's my community and it's now also a movement, a national movement. And it actually started around 6-7 years ago, back when I was 11 years old. So I was obsessed with this thing called technology. I can say I'm also a gamer. You know, I play games every day. I buy a lot of accessories to fill up my needs on my computer, so my gaming experience would be so much better. And it was a trend back then. It was an online shop trend. So I sort out those online shops, looking at my phone. I buy some things, cheap things actually, and they kept being broken. Until one time, I have this storage. I have this a drawer in my house, in my room, that is full of electronic waste. You name it, there's everything there. There's broken batteries, broken cables, broken parts of computers, you know, those PCBs, those mouse, keyboards, everything, earphones, everything was in that drawer, in that box. And that time I started to wonder, what can we do about this? What should I do about this? If I throw them into the trash bin, is it dangerous? If I give them to, let's say, someone who handles it well or doesn't, is it the right choice? So it's the question that it's been hanging in my head since I was 11 years old. What should I do to all of these electronic waste? Are they dangerous to the environment? What can we do? So that is actually how it started, and since then I made my own movement in my house, and it extended to my school, it extended to other schools, and it extended to Jakarta, it extended to some parts of the government, and here it is right now. We're a community, we're an official E-WasteRJ community. I can focus on so many issues at once, but I decided to focus on e-waste because that's actually what I experienced the most. You know, there's a lot of types of e-waste. There's a lot of types of waste in the world. Plastic, organic, non-organic. But I think the one type of waste that not many people talk about or even care about is this, electronic waste. We're looking at a very, very vast expansion, development of technology right now. Every year there's a new type of innovation. Every year there's a new type of technology, and that's what we're experiencing. But what we're not actually caring about is the end of its lifespan. What happens to this device when it's broken? You know, all we know is buying these new laptops, these new phones, these new electronic equipments every year, but what happens when they're broken? And that's still a big question for everyone, especially in our country, in Indonesia. As I said, no one has ever talked about this very frequently. They don't understand what e-waste really is. A lot of people always, they tend to see e-waste just the same as other waste. Okay, it's broken, we have to throw it in the trash bin. It's broken, we give it to someone who's responsible. So it's actually hard to give them this understanding that e-waste is not a regular type of waste. It needs special treatments. It needs to be thrown out in the right place, and it can't just be thrown out into those places that you used to throw out your e-waste, your other waste. Tricky, actually, to understand what this is, and there's so many challenges that I face, especially back when I was still in elementary school when I started this movement. No one seemed to quite believe me for the long run. That's one of the challenges, and to create sustainable change, this systemic understanding for people to know what this specific issue is not that easy to do. So yeah, that's the challenge.
Rafa Jafar, born on February 7, 2003. At the age of 12 years, he has launched his first book titled E-Waste. Then his second book titled Sampah Baterai launched when he in junior high school.
One of the main challenges, one of the main issues of electronic waste is that people don't know where to throw them. You see, let's say you have a phone, you have a cable, you know where to throw them. So that's why I created this drop box, and I wanted this to be as accessible as possible. And to be accessible, I have to have many drop points. So that's also my target, how we can have more drop points and how people can really understand and make it into a lifestyle.
RJ, through E-WasteRJ, have three movements: campaign, collect, and recycle. Besides socializing the problem of electronic waste, he also facilitates Indonesian community who wants to contribute with the movements of managing electronic waste. Until now, there are 20 drop boxes in 12 cities in cooperate with electronic waste recycling company that have been certified by the Ministry of Environment and Forestry or KLHK to legally recycle electronic waste.
Specific perspective, I would love to see this thing called circular economy, where the technology development is actually sustainable. So this thing called EPR, Extended Producer's Responsibility, every stakeholder that's a part of the cycle of electronic waste comes in. So let's say from the top we have these producers who create these electronic devices. Let's have them make these devices. How can they make these devices last longer? For us not to consume more. And then us, for the consumers, how can we take care of these electronic devices? How can we make sure they're not broken in within a year? How can we make sure we won't change any of our devices in within 2 years? How can that happen? And then the governments, let's say, how can they create certain regulations? How can they create certain rules that can support e-waste management? So there's so many stakeholders actually that's included, that has to contribute into finishing this issue. And what I want to see in the future, my perspective is how we can actually look at this as a serious issue. That's number one. And number two, how can we simultaneously create a future with innovative technologies, with sustainable technologies, and also a very firm, a very good e-waste management. So everything's balanced.
RJ also becomes an ambassador of UN Climate Change Conference in Morocco in November 2016. Then he was awarded as one of the 75 Pancasila Achievement Icons in 2020. RJ don't want to stop what he was working on it. His goal is to collaborate in running new projects in the future. Young leader like Rafa Jafar is such inspiring us and should make us realize that we must follow his steps to make Indonesia be a better place. Indonesia is proud to have environmental game changer like Rafa Jafar. And now, how about you? Are you ready to be the next game changer?